We are continuing from the 40th Yukti, one of the 112 gateways to the Yoga of Wonder and Delight. I will read the 63rd verse overall in the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra in Sanskrit, and then we'll read the English poetic interpretation, and then we'll pick out one of the Sanskrit words and use that as a seed to determine the practice that this verse points to. Alright. Goes like this. Aum sarvam deham chinmayam hi jagadva paribhavayet yogapan nirvikalpena manasa paramodaya. This is Bhairava, the divine masculine, speaking to his beloved. He says, "My love, delight in this entire universe as permeated with divine awareness. And every area of your body, your feet, your face, your shoulders, made out of divine awareness. The body of the planet beneath you, out beyond the farthest horizons, the stars and the reaches of space, all are rising from God consciousness. Know this and dissolve into peace." I think one of the most beautiful things arising from Eastern philosophy is the idea that the source is pure awareness. And so we, being creatures aware, we are a part of that awareness. But not only that, because everything that we experience comes to us through our awareness, that in some sense you could say that everything you get to experience in life is just awareness. It's all pure divine awareness. So let's dive deeper into that. The word of the verse is Deha. It means the body, from the root Deha, meaning to plaster, mold, or fashion. Very symbolic. It can mean form, shape, mass, the bulk as of a cloud, a person, an individual, appearance, manifestation, or having the appearance of. So the practice: meditate simultaneously on the universe and your body, Deha, as being pure consciousness. Deha suggests appearance. We look as if we are solid and made out of matter, yet we know from science that matter is made of energy and is almost entirely space. Somehow our bodies are fashioned out of energy and space. So in this meditation, you accept something deeper, that the matter of your body and the entire universe are made not just of energy and space, but on a deeper level of pure consciousness. When you dive into this meditation, you are not just a generic person taking a snapshot of generic space. Each camera and each lens takes a somewhat different picture. Each photographer has a different eye. Each of the bus-sized telescopes orbiting the Earth reveals a different aspect of the immense cosmos we inhabit. You have a somewhat different set of life experiences than anyone else that has ever lived. And when you meditate upon your body and the whole universe as being made of consciousness, there will be nuances you perceive that may not have been known before. Even if your form is only as lasting as a cloud, well, so too a galaxy, just a cloud of stars. That is one word from the 40th verse. Let's keep reading, shall we? Let's read the 42nd verse now. We'll read up to the 42nd Yukti. We're going to read the 41st Yukti, which is the 64th verse overall. Vayu dvayasya sanghata dandharva bahirantata yogi samatva vijnana samudgamana bhajanam. That was like the part in the movie where a character says the title of the movie. We had the word Vijnana in there. Name of the scripture, Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. That verse translates to, breathing is the flow of the divine, where the rhythms of life turn into each other, the eternal exchange. Pour one breath into the other, out breath into the in-breath, in-breath into the out-breath. Awaken to equanimity, at peace in the play of opposites. The word of the verse is Vayu. Vayu means wind, air, as one of the 5 elements, breathing, breath, a mystical name of the letter Ya. What does that mean? Well, all of the letters in Sanskrit have associations with different forms of the divine. The letter Ya is associated with the deity of wind, Vayu. And that's at the center of the heart chakra mantra. You might know it as Yang. It has the letter Ya in there. And the heart chakra, like all of the other 5 first chakras, are associated with each of the 5 elements. And the heart is air. In medicine, Vayu is the windy humor. In yoga, it refers to prana, apana, samana, udana, vyana. These are various life breaths that go through the body. In astronomy, Vayu is also the name of the 4th muhurta, which is a moment, 48 minutes, the 30th part of a day. As I said, it's the name of the wind god, said to have sprung from the breath of Purusha. He is said to move in a shining car drawn by a pair of red or purple horses, or by several teams consisting of 99 or 100 or even 1,000 horses. He is often made to occupy the same chariot with Indra, the god that represents the illumined mind of the heavens and that brings the rain and the winds. And in conjunction with him, honored with the first draught of the Soma libation. Soma is the elixir of the gods, said to have been drunk in ceremony during rituals in the ancient Vedic religion. But it's also a metaphor for, comes from the root su, meaning to press out. Soma is the juice that comes from squeezing, and it's kind of a symbolism of, squeezing yourself into the form that you want to be, in the sense of the version in your heart through refinement and discipline. Vayu is really connected with maruts, which are also forms of lightning and thunder, also forms of weather gods, although he is said to have begotten them from the rivers of heaven. Vayu also can mean desirous, covetous, greedy, desirable, or desired by the appetite. So that's a whole lot of meaning just in that word, Vayu. what's the practice here? It is impossible to be appreciative enough of breathing. In the definitions above, each word and image points to something exciting and magical. 1,000 red or purple horses pulling a shining car. What an image for the dynamic power of breath and the blood vessels that meet the air as we breathe in. The greatest skill you could bring to breathing is being in awe and wonder. Sometime you might want to take a year and track all the metaphors associated with Vayu. Make your own imagery so that when you think or say the word, you perceive a rich mandala of meaning. Vayu also means desired by the appetite, and this meaning points to life itself as driving our practice. Life's hunger for prana, for air, is what gives power to this practice. That's a powerful one. I really like that one. Okay, we're going to read just one more. This is the 42nd verse. I keep mixing up the yuktis and the verses. The yuktis are a subset of the verses. There's 112 yuktis, but more than 112 verses, because there's some banter verses between the divine masculine and feminine before and after. So it's the 42nd yukti, the last one we'll read today, but the 65th verse overall in the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. And you know what they say? What's the answer to life, the universe, and everything? 42, so let's see what this yukti has to offer. Sarvam jagat svadeham va svananda bharitam smaret yugapat svamrute naiva parananda mayo bhavet. With one sweep of attention, gather in the whole universe and remember it as your body of bliss. The deep rhythms of life pulsating. Stir an ambrosia, flowing and overflowing everywhere. Drink the nectar of all-pervading joy from the radiant cup that is this very body. And the word of the verse is Ananda. A-A-N-A-N-D-A. Ananda. What does it mean? Happiness, joy, enjoyment, bliss, sensual pleasure, the thing wished for. It can also mean the end of the drama in a play. The practice. There is a universe of practices encoded in the 32 syllables of this sutra. Notice that Ananda is used twice to emphasize that sensual pleasure and happiness are essential. Here are a couple mantras you can play with as a way in. Swananda bharitam. I am nourished and filled with the bliss of my soul. Swamritam. I am suffused with the nectar essence of life. The verse also uses the word amrita, A-M-R-T-A, which means not dead, amrita. It's actually where we get the word immortal, amrita, from the root mr, meaning to die. Mrita is the past participle of the verb having died, and negates it, amrita, not having died. Immortal, imperishable, but it can also mean beautiful, beloved, an immortal, a god. It's one of the names of Shiva too, or the plant Phaseolus trilobus. I'm sure I can pronounce that Latin better. You can refer to the nectar conferring immortality produced at the churning of the ocean, which is an ancient story. Ambrosia. We also get the word ambrosia from this word, which is very interesting. A nectar-like food, an antidote against poison, a medicament. I'm sure I'm not putting the emphasis on the right syllables. In general, the residue of a sacrifice. It can mean anything sweet. A pear, a ray of light. It's also the name of a poetic meter. You could begin meditating with the amrita that permeates your body, swa amrita. And as you shift levels, you accept that the entire universe is filled with your joy and your essence. Or you could meditate on the cosmos and your body simultaneously as being filled with your Ananda, your happiness, your joy, and Amrita. Bliss is a necessary foundation for yoga practice. And dare I add to that, it's a necessary foundation of being alive. Without bliss, what can we do in life? Without it, the electricity of the life force can grate on your nerves. Bliss is nourishing, and it suffuses, lubricates, and coats the nerves with the deep pleasure of existence. When you find bliss, notice and welcome it. Do not let any voices tell you that feeling pure joy is not a serious meditation practice. Bask in pleasure, shamelessly. Amrita is also an antidote against poison, a medicine. If you have ever gotten involved in service, working in the harsh, broken places in the world, you may need to get away and bathe in your own Ananda and Amrita for sustained periods to counteract any poison you may have been exposed to. Amrita and Ananda nourish and heal every cell of the body and sustain the heart as we live in this world. That's the word Ananda. And that's the final of the 3 suktas that we're going to read today. So thank you very much for listening. If that brought out any reflections that you want to share, you are always welcome to. I look forward to continuing this reading with you next time.